Hey guys, Icycat here. Today we're going to be talking about the new toxic ban system that's going to be coming out this week. This effort to combat toxicity in the game is going to be a new system launching, and it's going to be affecting you if you're not careful with the way you chat with other people in the game. Want to know how it might affect you? Then stick around as we talk about it next. So this announcement was actually made on Friday, and we have the following information available to us. It says, starting next week, we will be implementing an improvement on the system we have been using to ban players that use racial and homophobic slurs or hate speech in-game. The bans for this will fall within the following durations depending on severity: 2 days, 7 days, 15 days, or permanent. We will be tracking the frequency at which language that violates the code of conduct is used by individual players and will apply the appropriate ban on a case-by-case basis. The type of language we will be taking action against is outlined in the following section of the code of conduct. Any language or content deemed illegal, dangerous, threatening, abusive, obscene, vulgar, defamatory, hateful, racist, sexist, ethically offensive, or constituting harassment is forbidden. Players that receive a ban for toxicity will receive a pop-up that states their ban was the result of toxic behavior. A global message will also be deployed, similar to the current global broadcast for cheating, and it will read, "Username has been banned for toxicity." This is our first step towards managing toxicity in Rainbow Six Siege, and we will have more information to share about our other plans at a later date. After this announcement was dropped, of course, much of the community kind of went crazy on this. You had people that thought it was a really great idea, that you would essentially be creating an environment that was free from some of the toxicity that's been plaguing the game, especially things like racial or homophobic slurs, as he had mentioned in his outline. But a substantial part of the community also got really upset about this, thinking that this was just ridiculous to have in a game. Another post that community developer Epi made was, "We are in the process of testing a new method of banning players that are acting in a wholly inappropriate manner. For those of you concerned, don't use racial slurs, homophobic slurs, or tell people to kill themselves and you'll be fine." And before anyone says it, no, we don't really care about the context of the string of slurs you dropped in chat. So then another guy gives an example saying that completely ignoring context is stupid. If some guy keeps calling other people these words and then someone else says, "Dude, stop calling people these words," then they'll both get banned. Ubisoft's response to that is to say, "Dude, just stop saying that." Problem solved. Trying to find these edge cases it may not be perfect for isn't really constructive, especially when there are clearly very easy ways to convey the message without dropping down to their level. He goes on to say, "Just act like an adult and you'll be fine. It really isn't something that mature individuals should fear." Other people, of course, are concerned about just trash talking in general. Here it's pointed out that there should be a stark distinction between trash talk and legitimate vitriol. It is a competitive game after all. His response to it is that there is a line between those. They understand it is a competitive game, and they're not expecting for there to not be any trash talking or swear words used. We are expecting people not to take it too far with slurs and hate speech. Some people wanted to know if there's going to be any way to dispute it if you wind up getting caught in it, and he does let us know that it can be appealed just like any other ban. Now, Epi, as community developer, also does communicate via Twitter and Facebook and some other posts, so over there he did put out the following tweet. He says, "It's mind-blowing how people are furious there are consequences for using racial and homophobic slurs in Rainbow. Quote, I have to turn off chat because I'm afraid I'll be banned now." Unquote. What the hell? You literally can't stop yourself from using racial slurs? Good. Turn it off. Bye. And honestly, I 100% feel his pain here. When he first posted this, it was followed by literally 100 people asking if you could somehow circumvent the words by asking if this variation of a word would be allowed, or if you could say it this other way, or what if you meant it this way, or what if you did this, or what if you did that, and they were asking for all these exceptions and loopholes, and it's like, come on people, really? We're looking for ways to try to go ahead and still continue to be toxic even if these things are banned. Furthermore, something to understand is that this is actually something that Ubisoft has been doing bans on all along. It's just a lot harder to ferret it out, and now they're getting an actual proper reporting system and a procedure in place to deal with it specifically, rather as doing it as these sort of isolated incidents. Now the reporting system and the banning system is much more robust and should actually be a lot smoother and widespread. They do acknowledge that people having alternate accounts is something of a problem that they're still going to need to find a way to work on, and maybe something that is kind of an issue long term. And while they may not be able to take care of every single instance of that sort of thing, these are big steps towards combating that toxicity. Another thing to remember is that they can monitor what goes on with the in-game chat very easily as far as like the PC text chat. But when you are using the consoles, so if you're on Xbox or PlayStation and you're using the built-in chat system that's in there to send it from one player to the next, that does exist outside of Ubisoft's control, and there's not a whole lot that they can do about what's happening there. However, Sony and Microsoft do have their own built-in reporting features, and they'll generally do a pretty good job of taking action on things that are in at least the extreme categories. Now, to people watching this video, there's going to be, again, that kind of split divide between people think that this is a really good thing and other people that are like, what, are you crazy? This is a competitive game. You can't take trash talking out of it. But you've got to listen to what's being said here. They fully acknowledge that it is a competitive game. They are completely aware of it. They designed it to be a competitive game. They know exactly what goes into that kind of level of competition and the trash talking that's part of it. They're aware of it. They're okay with it to, a certain point. But once it crosses that line where you are insulting someone's race, whether you're going after their sexual orientation, or whether you are just being completely demeaning to the point of where it becomes literally abusive. Once you've crossed these kinds of lines, they're not just going to do it for somebody that just drops, some excessive swear words, but if you are just berating people and making people's lives miserable, or you're attacking them on some of these other levels, like I said, the homophobic slurs, the racial slurs, if you're really getting into those kinds of areas that cross that line, that's what you have to worry about. And I am glad to see that Ubisoft is actually taking a position on this, where the community developer literally said, if you can't stop yourself from talking this way and you don't want to be part of this game, then goodbye, we don't need you. They're not afraid to lose some of those players if they're making the community just cancerous and toxic as a result of their activity. For people freaking out that this is going to turn the game into some kind of a police state, I mean, like you said, mature people should have absolutely nothing to worry about. Reasonable people will have nothing to worry about. If you are being abusive and you're worried about this, then you probably should be worried about this, and maybe you want to stop being abusive. You can absolutely still trash talk, and they're not going to just ban you because you dropped a swear word or two. I mean, it's just not that kind of thing. You can't be that black and white about it. They specifically said a case-by-case basis, and the community did bring up some things for them to be aware of. For instance, somebody did point out that he mentioned that telling someone to kill themselves would be something that would get you banned. But then in the community, they pointed out that talking about suicide or killing yourself, having the context could be completely appropriate to what's going on in the game. Maybe you get yourself into a position, and killing yourself in the game as your operator, not as a real person, is something that the team is saying, just do that, throw the match, whatever, and then you shouldn't get banned for that. Ubisoft took that feedback, they heard it, and they did acknowledge hey, yeah, we hear that that's actually a valid concern, so we're gonna have to take a look at that. So they are aware of some of these kinds of instances that they're willing to, be reasonable about it. So what do you guys think about this new feature? Is this something that the game has been waiting for a long time, or do you think it has no place in a competitive game like this? Let me know down in the comments below, or share with me over at IcyCat25 on either Facebook or Twitter. Now, if you want to stay up to date on all the latest news and information from Rainbow Six Siege, then please do like and subscribe. Make sure you click that notification icon so you're alerted as soon as I make new content available. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.